Hello, and welcome to the Emissaries of the Gospel podcast. My name is Jeremy Brown. I'm your host. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon. Let's get right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about liberal tears, all kinds of freaking out going on the interwebs, on social media, TikTok, and the like, where you see all of these liberals. Many of them are, I think, just seeking attention, right? Or maybe they're part of the high school drama team and never kind of moved on from that, and so they have to put on their performance for everyone. But wanted to have a little fun sometimes. Sometimes when God gives you a mercy, I'm not going to say this is a victory in a sense, because this is a man who has not shown that he is necessarily in Christ and dedicated to righteous rule, but he certainly is what I would say a mercy to God's church, to God's people, that he is definitely the lesser form of judgment for us. And we should be thankful to God for that. We should be grateful and we should roll up our sleeves and get to work. But sometimes you just have to sit back and kind of take a moment to enjoy or have a little bit of a laugh. So let's get right into it. I wanted to start out with something that happened actually before the election. So we're going to take a look at what Miss Oprah Winfrey had to say.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
All right. This is peak level hyperbole. May never have the opportunity to cast a ballot again. Ironically, there are some who would say that could have been the case no matter which side won, right? And I'm at least somewhat sympathetic to them, but it is entirely the left that has been showing that they've been totalitarian, authoritarian, oppressive, taking away rights, basic Bill of Rights, God-given liberties, constitutional, enshrined rights that we have. They've just trampled all over them, right? Whether it be the right to free speech, whether it be the right to bear arms, right to have no unlawful searches and seizures, or any of these number of things. It is predominantly, not exclusively, but it is predominantly the left that really spearheads this. So I found it just kind of rich that these kind of scare tactics were being used going in, and the Lord only knows how bad the beating would have been if they hadn't used even these scare tactics to frenzy up their people. But of course, we know that now we have the 47th president elect for the United States, which is Donald J. Trump, who is a former president, number 45. And let's just see some liberal reaction after the fact.
Feral today.
Okay, so this chick looks really hinged, right? Definitely not unhinged or in need of medication.
I'm going to get drunk today, and I'm going to act like an angry black woman, because I'm angry! I'm mad! I'm upset! I'm angry as bro. I'm angry. I'm hurt. My feelings are hurt. We always finish last. We always come last to everybody, even our own men. And you niggas mamas be black.
Well, sorry about the use of the N-word there, but it's never more prolific than from left-leaning black people themselves. So, in fact, they almost have exclusive use of it, right? But here she is. She's going to get drunk. Why? Because Donald J. Trump won. Like even when Joe Biden won, and believe me, that was a horrible blow for liberty, a horrible blow to our republic, a horrible blow to any kind of fair democracy. I mean, you got to be a fool if you don't question the election results, right? And I don't have to make any accusations there. You just say if you don't at least question them and seek the truth, that's ridiculous, right? And even then, I wasn't I definitely wasn't filming videos about it, but I wasn't going to say I'm going to get drunk and, scream and cry and, shout at white women because they voted this guy in, which they did, by the way, and they would have, been instrumental in voting Kamala in too if she had won, right? So here's a group of people who don't understand that their ideas and policies don't work. Their actions, people resent. And so that's why you guys lost, right? Like your ideology, the thing you're driving for, you shouldn't. It is immoral. It is unethical. Nobody wants it. And they showed up to say that they don't want it. But instead of learning that, they say, oh, well, because I am, a woman, or because of my darker skin color, or whatever it is, right? Because I have, one blue and one green eye, and I walk with a limp and have a cane, right? That's the reason why I lost. And it's not because you have bad ideas and you're just unlikable, right? And it's not because you were betting on a losing horse the whole time, right? You were going in the wrong direction. This should be a signal to course correct, but for some people, they're just going to say and take the lazy way out and say they just hate me because of my skin color, or they just hate me because of my chromosomes or whatever.
So glad you guys got your cheap ass groceries and your cheap ass gas, because you're broke as shit. You're
Go.
broke. You're broke. I said I'm being serious. You're broke.
Okay. Wow. So some of these people, you can see why the prescription medication industry for mood suppressants and those kind of things, mood stabilizers, why it's booming. This is unhinged behavior. This is really, a foundational error at discipling people, right? There's a lot of sadness that goes on here, and it's not why they're weeping. It's sad to see that people are like this, right? That they're crazy like this, but that's like peak attention-seeking behavior too, right? And we can look at it and also chuckle because this is foolishness, right? And foolishness is sad, and foolishness might even make you angry. But foolishness, in some cases, you just need to laugh at it. I mean, the Lord laughs and holds them in derision, right? So we can't say that it's ungodly, right? So let's keep going.
I think the hardest part of all of this is just like thinking about all the men.
She's thinking about the men.
Like the economy, woman in my life.
Okay, so basic presupposition here, if you haven't already picked up on it, is that she's saying if you're a man and you want to be able to eat for the next 4 years, you want to be able to have any place to live, even a shoebox, to be able to afford to live in, if you want to be able to have a job and a way to be transported to that job, right? And be able to support the woman in your life, right, and your children, if you want any of those things, but you don't care as much about the woman in your life being able to murder your child that you've made together in the womb, right? If she can't murder that child with impunity, that these are the choices that you're balancing. And obviously she thinks that you should give way more weight to, instead of sustaining every life that you're responsible for, including your own, right? She thinks that you should be able to think that supporting murder with impunity is the way to go. Let's hear from her, though.
The economy, woman in my life. The economy.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Does anybody notice that this guy looks like he belongs in some kind of mentally deranged Christmas special, live action Christmas special? This guy looks like an elf. He's wearing Christmas colors, but obviously he's mentally unhinged. And I think he's off his medications, or maybe he's smoking some non-prescription medications. I'm not sure, but look at this guy.
This is not okay.
Oh boy, this is not okay.
This simply will not do.
It will not do.
This is not okay.
It's
and
not
I'm
okay.
Good with this.
Not good with this. Oh boy. This guy. See, this is the other part of why why people wouldn't vote for someone like Kamala. They see the absolute eradication of anything masculine, remotely masculine in this country, and this guy is like a poster child. And I don't mean to pick on him in particular, because the last guy was pretty bad too. But you look at this guy, he's just a poster child for effeminacy. It looks like he's never read the scripture that tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 about effeminacy, right? About being a soft man. But here you go, right? Here's this guy again having a tantrum. All these guys are attention whores and having these tantrums on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and wherever else. But all right, let's keep going, right?
Your kids, you can't lie to your grandkids about, oh, it was so confusing.
It's ironic to me that she's already talking about lying to your kids and grandkids, where feminists like her have been lying to generations of kids and grandkids. So this is kind of peak hypocrisy.
It was hard to see the truth. He was so convincing. I will not let you get away with that. Like, that was not normal. This is not normal. I will make it clear to everyone. Like, I will make sure no one is confused about how things were right now in this very vital, crucial time in American history.
That's good, because, I think we should also make sure that no one's confused about how things were right now at this point in American history and the kind of things that this sick woman championed. So let's hear her out.
That it was not confusing. It was not confusing at all. You just
No,
stood for that.
Confusing.
You stood with that and for that.
It cost me $0 to cut people off. And in this economy, I'm taking all the free that I can get.
Oh, there we go. See, she's appealing to the economy, right? This one. So that's her little clever tongue-in-cheek way of saying that, she's going to lash out at you now, that there's going to be serious social repercussion, that if they can't cancel you politically and if they can't cancel you financially, they will cancel you socially, right? So if you're worried about social capital with this woman, after hearing her out, then, I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to hoard Plan B and misoprostol with me. And
well, here we go. More baby murder. That's what she's all about. That seemed to be one of the chief things that old Captain Kamala ran on, right?
Start an underground abortion railroad.
Underground abortion railroad. Here we go. So, I know that people like me, we utilize the term abolitionist because there's some meaning to that, right? Abolishing a horrible evil from this land, and you can have your arguments about the way it was done and who did it and all that kind of stuff. But seeking to take the axe to the root is the solution to the problem. So I think it's an appropriate use of the term. But here we go. We have some more appeal. The underground abortion railroad, right? The Plan B, mifepristol abortion underground railroad, right? Where apparently they want to have back alley abortions and the like now. If you use Plan B instead of coat hangers, apparently it's okay, right? Because that was the big thing that they said, right? Everybody had to use a coat hanger, right? That mythology.
Then I don't get the out of my face.
For a fact that most Latinos for Trump have undocumented family members.
So here we go. So here's the threat to you now, right? This gentleman who, I don't like to stereotype anybody, but I'm just taking a guess, right? I don't follow this gentleman, don't know his channel, but I'm guessing that he is a Latino, and I'm guessing that he is a flaming liberal. And so here comes the big threat to all of you Latinos who voted for Donald J. Trump. Let's go.
Whether that be their parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, etc. So if you know of a Latino who voted for Trump, I urge you to call this number and report said family members.
To all you
Okay, let's stop there before we hear what where this woman has to say, right? I'm going to be kind to her. All right. So basically what that guy just got done saying was, instead of trying to weed out people who are leeching off from the system, instead of trying to weed out the people who are violent, instead of trying to weed out the people who don't have anything resembling a historic American values, instead of trying to weed out the people who are killers and rapists and those kind of things, right? Instead of trying to weed those people out and deport them, you got to go after the family members of people who are conservative, right? Because you want to strike them at the people that they care about, right? This is like some Sopranos type stuff, right? Or, whatever kind of gangster, movie or whatever you think, Goodfellas, like it's a Goodfellas type stuff, right? Where, he's calling for you to put a hit out on their family, right? That's basically what he's doing. That's pretty low life. So let's hear what this woman has to say.
Latinos that voted for Trump, I hope he mass deports you and
your
your
entire on the
family,
Latinos,
whether you were here legally or not.
Kingdom.
Notice that there's a lot of racism here. A lot of people just blanket hating the Latinos, and they want to get rid of them, not based on any kind of wrongdoing, right? Not even based on any kind of policy, but they want to get rid of them because they're their political enemies. It's rather rich, right? Because that they would say that's why we would want to deport illegals, right? And it's just kind of hypocritical. So this woman here, just gonna take a guess and say she's on medications and probably desperately needs to find them.
The street to go get my medication.
By the way, what is with all of these septum piercings? They are just grossly unattractive. I'm sorry if there's any actual conservative Christian lady out there, especially if she has really solid theology and she has one of these septum piercings, but please, ma'am, please don't. These look weird. And, a lot of these people use these things to signal to others where they can just look at them and kind of know where they're coming from. And so the wild, like pink and blue hair and green hair and stuff like that, being grossly overweight, having a super duper short haircut and a nose ring seems to be the costume, so to speak. That's the uniform.
Because I'm out and I need it for today.
Another
she was out of her medication.
And I saw a woman walking her 2 kids, and she had this look on her face. And I looked at her, we made eye contact, and we both kind of nodded.
And you cried because of that haircut?
Like we were both just devastated. And you could just tell in her eyes.
My sadness.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. So they had sadness in their eyes, and this is the garbage that they're putting out on TikTok and on Instagram, right? This guy here, he looks almost as super masculine as that other man we were watching earlier. Let's see what he has to say. I think this man is going to be really reasonable. What do you think?
This is over. My anger has set in. I am a very petty person, and I am very proud of that. Love it about myself.
Does this guy have a septum piercing too?
I say this in the most disrespectful way possible. I don't care if you are my family. I don't care if you're my friend. I don't care if we've been friends our entire lives. You can literally go f*** yourself if you voted for Donald Trump. If you are so sad about your groceries being expensive, get a better paying job. Do better in life. Get a education. Do something. Because you are stupid.
Here we go. The irony here is that all of these people want to do that. All these people want to be productive, and they want to do better and have better jobs and be upwardly mobile. And they want to be able to start businesses, run businesses, have them be more profitable, and all the things that this guy, just condescendingly said they should do, right? But of course, his presupposition is that they're all uneducated idiots and, all of these other things, right? But obviously, he doesn't like the fact that these people actually care about their family, and they care about their neighbors, and they actually want to see them do well, right? And so, being able to murder babies with impunity and commit sodomy with impunity is not something that is very attractive to them. All right, so let's go to the next one.
Full on removed myself from Hinge, Bumble. Like, I don't
even really know much about what those are, but just using context clues from what I know, I think there's some type of dating app or some other type of hookup culture app or something either shameful like that or something that's just often misused. But either way, if there's anything potentially decent at all that goes on it, then praise the Lord that this woman has removed herself from that, right? This whole 4B thing, right? It says 4B movement, count me in. This is a thing that comes from Korea, right? Where these women basically are wanting to make themselves completely undesirable, unattractive, remove themselves completely from consideration for marriage. They'll say sex because, they engage in fornication. They're not following the Lord, obviously. So, but that's basically what this is, shave your head, do all this craziness. Let's see what she says, though.
Think twice about it. There's no way I am letting any man near me.
For the next 4
Okay, so something tells me that no men want to be near her anyways, both because she seems toxic, but also because, she goes out of her way to be unappealing to them. So let's see what this lady has to say.
years, I am going to abstain from schmex with men.
Okay, guys, so it looks like you just dodged a bullet. Just like Donald Trump, you dodged a bullet. God caused it to graze your ear, and you don't have to see these women out there. And they're going to signal to you, right? They're going to make sure that you know who they are. So not only are they saying that they're removing themselves from consideration, but they're also going to signal loud and clear. So you know who these toxic, horrible, immoral, wretched women are. So you don't have to consider them at all. So this is a total win, guys. So praise God for that. Praise God. All right, let's see. I want to see some celebrities, right? We've seen all of these attention seekers just out on TikTok land, but what are the people who work for the major news networks and the media and whatnot? What are they up to? What are they saying?
It's important to say that, anyone who has experienced or been in the United States for any period of time and experienced this country's history and knows it cannot have believed that it would be easy to elect a woman president, let alone a woman of color.
Oh, I think it's very believable. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, because that's, according to Isaiah 3:12, that's judgment on your nation, right? But I can very easily see that. So I think she's in la la land right here.
Let's just be clear. And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not
flawlessly. The most botched campaign from the most unlikable candidate in history who was never nominated, but flawlessly campaigning, she says. Let's hear her out.
not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. She had
the same Queen Latifah who has already given endorsements before, but she never endorses anyone. And that's the evidence of a flawless campaign, is Queen Latifah's endorsement, apparently.
every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Taylor Swiftie to the Swifties. She had the Beehive. Like, you could not.
Beehive. The Swifties in the Beehive. That's why it's a flawless campaign. Can you see like some of the people, and these are like yellow dog Democrats sitting around her, right? These aren't like conservatives or even moderates, right? These are hardcore liberals, and even they look with distaste when they hear what she's saying, right? Like they know this doesn't pass the straight face test.
Not have run a better campaign in that short period of time.
This election, as we sit here and pour over this tonight, is something of an indictment of the political information complex.
I agree. I agree with what this guy's saying at the moment. It is an indictment on the political information complex, right? So much propaganda and fake news has been put out that they have made the media be completely untrustworthy. And by default, if the left hadn't already made themselves untrustworthy, which they did, the fact that the liberal media, this fake news media, seems to embrace them completely and entirely and be like a propaganda wing for them, with the exception of Fox News for like neocons or whatever, and maybe a couple other, The Blaze or something like that. Other than that, Daily Wire, right? But pretty much every news network and all the affiliates, they're all hyper liberal, right? So let's hear
I mean, we've been sitting around here for the last couple of weeks, and the story that was portrayed was not true. And we were told Puerto Rico was going to change the election. Liz Cheney, Nikki Haley voters, women lying to their husbands. And
women lying to their husbands. This is something, listen to what they say, right? They're going to tell you who they are in moments like this, right? So they're saying our strategy to win the election, right? Our strategy for success, the narrative that we had was that women were going to lie to their husbands. So they're saying dividing households, creating division in marriages, creating deceit, dishonesty, violating trust, that these things are and forget about even like the actual order of a marriage and how it's supposed to work, right? Like they're not even in that universe to be able to have that discussion. They're talking about the big goal is to have these women lie to their husbands, and that's part of their key to victory. Well, that's really gross, and we should stop and actually think about that, because what that means is they're pushing an agenda that they know divides families, right? And they're willing to do it. They're willing to divide and destroy families. That's actually part of their agenda, right? But they're willing to do something like that causes tremendous pain and hardship and strife unnecessarily, right, in families, to the point of, like I said, completely breaking them up and all that flows from that, for political points.
we were just ignoring the fundamentals. Inflation, people feeling like that they were barely able to tread water at best. That was the fundamentals of the election.
I'm surprised at the result.
History and knows it, cannot have believed that it would be.
Apologies. I botched that one. So what he's talking about here is the fundamentals of the election, as he was saying, were things like inflation and people, I think he said, barely feeling like they could tread water, right? So the idea that the economic policy, right, and the liberty to go and better your situation financially, right, God-given liberty, I'll add, that the policies surrounding that and the economic atmosphere created by Kamala Harris and also Joe Biden, right, and all of the Democrats, like in the Congress and the House, the Congress, the House and the Senate, right, that what they instituted was choking people out, that it was suffocating them. It was completely shackling and handcuffing them. And so Kamala was thrashed in the polls because her policies were obviously a failure. And she was campaigning on, we're going to go and make your life better, right? Because you're going to give me a chance. And everybody knows you've been in the White House for 4 years, right? You guys have had 4 years to do it. And you just made everything worse, right? And you're about to throw us into some wars, by the way, which would make things even more bad. Let's keep going.
The result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful.
Everything here to them is about gender and skin color. And there's little that is just more nauseating than finding a people who their only talking points and their only way of identifying themselves and the only thing that they think has merit in life is gender and skin color. It's just really weird.
That a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
There we go. Cultural resentment. Now, of course, she's kind of talking in code right there, right? Cultural resentment meaning, resenting Black women and Jews, apparently Black women and Jewish men. And so, you might actually see some of that. I'm not saying that she's entirely wrong, but not in the way that she's portraying it, right? There's not resentment because there are Black women. There's not resentment because they're, working or that they are visible or vocal or any of those things, right? The resentment comes from the things that they've done, the evil, wicked, immoral things that they've done and that they've pushed. Yes, and that should be resented. It's good to resent those things, but we shouldn't be bitter about them. We should just act quickly and with resolution and then move on, right? And for people on her side of things, that this should be a moment to reflect. Number one, reflect on the judgment of God, but also to reflect on why they lost, right? They have spent decades building up resentment in white men and married couples in particular, that they are just by virtue of being alive, that no matter what they do, no matter what they have said or done in order to deal with any kind of sins of the past, whether it be from their ancestors or not, right? That they just simply are, by virtue of being alive, the embodiment of all that is evil, and they should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed of their nation. They should be ashamed of their heritage, all of their forefathers. They should hate and despise and be disgusted by. And you know what? There are some self-loathing liberals out there who, God only knows if they were able to motivate themselves even to get to the voting booths. Maybe that's where they lost, right? But you see some of these self-loathing people, and the people that we just watched earlier, right? They're all on medications. Half of them mentioned it in their attention-seeking videos, and they were screaming and acting completely unhinged. Some of the videos that I didn't show were, people just having more scream fests. You had some woman saying she thought the next morning she'd wake up a slave, right? This is stupid. This is not just even hyperbolic. This is dumb, right? And it's like they forget that this guy was president for 4 years already, and none of this stuff happened. But yeah, to think that, hey, you could try to, and masculinity, right? 50% of the population, right? Whether you're black, Latino, white, whatever, 50% roughly of the population is male, right? And so they're saying 50% of the population is, toxic and disgusting if they simply live out what God created them to be, right? Like if you actually act like a man, if you actually act male, masculine, they're going to say you're toxic, right? And so the only kind of masculinity that they don't consider toxic is femininity, right? Effeminacy. And so you can't actually, number one, live virtuous as a man. You can't live out your faith, surely, if you're a Christian, which is really what they have a war on, right? Is Christianity. But the reason why they want you to hate yourself, the reason why they want you to hate your ancestors and your country is because of the rich Christian heritage that is thoroughly entrenched in the United States, right? Yes, we have largely apostatized. Yes, we're under judgment. Yes, we have rampant sin and idolatry and many evil things. But the fact that you even have people that still talk about Christ in coffee shops that you can overhear. And, I saw a woman today with a Faith, Hope, Love t-shirt on when I was picking something up at the grocery store, right? The fact that you see any of that now, even in places like Europe, you don't see that. Why? Because they've been so ashamed of themselves and self-loathing that they've essentially committed cultural suicide, right? That they've taken the train and gone completely off the tracks, right? The car is in the ditch, right? Is crashed. They've been ejected probably about a mile from the car, right? That's how violent a turn from their rich Christian history, which has blessed their entire nation and all the nations around them, right? And so that's what these people want us to do here, and we should not want it. We shouldn't be okay with it. We shouldn't do it, right? But we need reformation. So I'm gonna be putting another video out tomorrow. So I'm going to be cutting this one a little bit shorter than most, but I just kind of wanted to have some fun and a little commentary with it. And I know there's other people that are probably going to laugh more and, mock these more. And, to some degree that's warranted, right? That's justified. And some people are going to have a deeper analysis or whatever, but I just kind of wanted to go through, have a little fun, maybe chuckle a little bit, look at these things and evaluate them and, show you a little bit of what the other side is like. And hopefully, we added some value too in some of the things that we said. But until next time, I'm gonna wish you God's blessings, and make sure that you smash that like button. If you didn't like this episode, just hit the thumbs down button twice. All right. Until next time, God bless.